I'll be honest, there's something I've wanted for a long period of time, and that was a G-Shock in steel. But the problem is most of those G-Shocks are really expensive. This one isn't. And not to mention, it's at an even better wearable size and it's thinner. So is this the G-Shock that I've been dreaming of for as long as I can remember? This is the G-Shock GST B600D-1AJF. I did have to look down to check that. That's a mouthful. Thank you, Casio, for your really long serial numbers. This specific G-Shock is their steel model. This is gonna have all the same things you're looking for in a G-Shock, meaning that I could toss this across the room and it won't do anything. I could drop it on the ground and it's gonna be perfectly fine, because that is what you're looking for in a G-Shock. You're looking for something that you can wear and do anything in and never have to worry about breaking it. Not to mention, it's gonna give you more features than you won't have in a mechanical watch. Now, I have always liked G-Shocks. Now, there's a G-Shock right here that I don't talk about that often because honestly, it's a little gross. But this G-Shock right here went on a trip with me and my brother around the world. That G-Shock right there. This is when I first started getting into luxury watches. I bought this because I didn't want to wear my Apple Watch anymore. So I got this one. And when I went on a trip, my brother was going to a wedding in India. When we went on that trip, we decided to continue it all the way back around versus going to India and then going back the same direction, because I thought it'd be cool to say I circumnavigated the globe. When I went on that trip, I wore this every single day. And that's because you can't beat a G-Shock. There's a reason why military personnel all wear G-Shocks. There's a reason why most people buy a G-Shock at some point in their life, if not early on, then multiple times throughout their life. The problem is you can't wear this with a shirt like this. I mean, you could, but it doesn't really match. So you want to wear something a little nicer, but you still want something that's a little bit more rugged. Then the other problem is most G-Shocks are like that. They're super fat. And it's just not the same aesthetic as what I like to wear in my watches. Introduce this. So this model specs, listen to this. This model specs, you're looking at a 41.5 millimeter diameter, but the visual is different. So these flare out, as you can see, they kind of flare out past the buttons to the base of the watch. So that measurement's from the base at the top of the watch around the actual bezel. What's visual, what you can see, the actual diameter looks more like 38.5 millimeters. And that's what it wears like to me, about a 38 to 39 millimeter watch, although the dial is still slightly small for that measurement, so call it 38. The lug-to-lug, effective lug-to-lug, given the integrated bracelet here, is 47.5 millimeters. And the thickness is 11.4 millimeters. So you're looking at an incredibly wearable, like, G-Shock steel. The best part about this watch is the price point. You can buy this watch for about 250 bucks. This one I actually bought for $280, but I like to round down to 250 in my head to say that I spend a little bit less. That's what I tell my wife too. This has some other features in here that I don't see on high-end watches that I wish they would incorporate. Obviously, the shock resistance is would be amazing, but in here you also have on this bracelet this fine, nice little touch of spring bar fastened links, which means every single link you see on this bracelet can be taken out and easily with one punch of your spring bar tool. Watch this. So you see in this video the same thing that I'm doing here, which is that all I have to do is push in the spring bar, pull it out, boom. I just took out a link. Now that usually would be one, a scary, but also two, painful process for most people if you're not used to doing it. You grab a screwdriver, sometimes it's a millimeter, sometimes 1.2, sometimes 1.4, usually it's like 1.6 millimeter. You have to get that screwdriver correct. You have to file it down to make sure you're not gonna scratch anything. You have to put a loop on to make sure you're not also scratching the watch in anywhere. You have to make sure that if it's got thread lock on it, especially if it's really in there, that you don't end up keep slipping out and scratching the heck out of the screw head or the link. It's a painful process. The worst version are pin and collar systems where you have to hammer out each of the pins or collars. So the fact that these are spring adjusted is fantastic. It's one of those things that leave it to Casio to come up with the thing that everyone should already be doing. You know, you could buy a Cartier that's got the adjustment, like toolless adjustment, or you could just grab any metal pin and use this, and you can adjust it on the fly. Now you're wondering, Harrison, why are you wearing such a nice shirt? You've been wearing nicer clothes recently. This is all very different. This video is sponsored by Proper Cloth. Now I like Proper Cloth because for me, I have long arms, like monkey style arms, where my wingspan here is longer than my height. And so I never can buy a 36, 37 sleeve length. It just doesn't exist. If I go into a store, they'll laugh me out of the store. So I have to buy all my shirts custom. And rather than spending a crazy amount of money, I've always bought online direct to me, tailored for my size, my shoulders, and for my length. And the best part is they're nice quality. This one I can also throw in the washer, pull back out. In one of my recent videos, I wore their woolen cashmere jacket on top of this. I also got a pair of gray wool trousers that look fantastic. So check out Proper Cloth. If you follow my link below, you'll find a custom gallery that they made for me, I guess, based on my style. And you can also get 10% off your first order. And the code is Elmore10. My last name. So ELMORE 10, that's your code. Get 10% off. Check out Proper Cloth, link in the description below. So back to the G-Shock. Now, yes, super wearable, super functional. Love the integrated links and the fact that you can disconnect and reconnect super easily. But the biggest thing I like about this is the fact that it's finally a G-Shock that is at a good price, that's compact and wearable. See, now I've sized this back up to show how the links can go in, so I don't have it currently sized for my wrist, though I could do it pretty easily. But you can tell on all these shots how well it fits my wrist. I even have it here compared next to a couple other different watches so you can get an idea of scale, visual scale, because visual scale often is very different than the measurements that you see. So I wanted you to see it compared to different models, how it kind of lays in that 38mm general range. Now it has a world time function in here. It's got a stopwatch, it's got a timer, and it's got an alarm. All the things you typically expect out of a G-Shock. Now there is something that will put off some people, but I like, and that is that you can connect this to your phone. Now some people don't like that because they want to keep phones and watches separate. Fine. But functionally, it's really nice because you can set alarms way faster on the phone than you could set an alarm on the watch using little buttons. So you can set timers and set alarms so much faster there. Now, I use that for alarms like crazy because I could just set 5 and then turn it on, send it to the watch, and be done. And that way, when the alarm went off, like I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to sit there and program it. It was way faster than when I've set alarms on my G-Shock. Plus, you can set multiple throughout the day. So the connectivity of the phone with the G-Shock or the Casio app is really nice. You know, again, one of those things some people hate, but for me, I thought was very functional and very nice. Now, the negatives on this watch, because there are some. One is gonna be the fact that this negative display, if you've seen the video so far, is really not that easy to read depending on the angle. So you do have to look at it at the right angle sometimes. If you're off at an angle, it's totally black. You can't tell what's going on in there. But you can always use the light too to illuminate it to easily tell what's going on inside. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I guess it depends on how often you look at it and if you do or don't want to use the light function. I think that the sizing could be a downside for some people because they want a bigger version of a G-Shock. If they're gonna wear one, they want a big chunky one. And that's just, I guess, par for the course. Sometimes you're gonna have a watch you don't like because it's not in the size that you wanted. I think that this is sold also on a rubber band, which is something I might explore putting it on one of those with the metal head, because I think that'd be a cool combination to wear every so often. But I guess depends on if you like metal bracelets or a rubber band. The gaps in this bracelet is another bracelet design thing that, again, take it or leave it. I guess it depends on you. I'm really nitpicking here though, guys, because there's not a whole lot that I don't like about this watch, because it's hard really to dislike a watch that like you can beat the heck out of, is $280, is steel, looks nice, is thin, is wearable. Like, as far as I know, this is one of the thinnest G-Shocks that's out there on the market. And so for all those reasons, this has been a model that I definitely wanted to get in here and highlight on this channel. But what do you guys think about G-Shock in general? Do you like this model, or do you have a different recommendation that I should check out? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.